America. It is recorded how actually everything, everywhere the species body of volume is, how really the significance of how the course of black people's rights and lives of British has been denied. Even and this has nothing to do with any of the narratives and natures that anyone thinks it has to do with. That is being and having been assigned a part of the means to measure and maintain proofs of that exploited where it has nothing to do with it, but it's forced part of the subject treatments. For example, even about the cause of slavery and what our founders communicated for us to teach about that. They have it blamed on other things, others ourselves. So we need to get mandated law followed. We need to get the behavior racketeering seated. We have people pretending passions, emotions. Oh, I'm just commenting. I'm a commenter. Well, that's how the commenters, because the sense, because they have the sense where they like. That's what they're told. Where they make positive treatments, negative treatments, identity treatments. At each of the campuses, sickly, distinctly, homeschooled. All positive, negative treatments, identity treatments. At all identity ground locations, too. Hyper additionally, simultaneously. All effectively employed. Preventing what we all want, need, means, and have means to reveal like that everywhere at once. See campus dunce with stolen name, Republic too. Whoa. The same ancients became criminally foreign influenced because not wanting to become that way. Not realizing while they were defending themselves as fact human nature, they were simultaneously defending collusion /S with who couldn't afford them the short words. Then or now, of people unaccosted more and more, unaccosted unless they're entertaining, or worse, that which can't be entertained, in the short words made proper for the Constitution unabridged. Therefore, using this tool that can be used to show the delusions that are tactical too, and mixed with just, that with our experts. So this is a breaching method that allowed the experts on delusions only if they were going to be self-value uses of tactically induced only capable of being physical delusions, relied upon by the nature and qualities and aspects of their fact-treatment nature, like time treatments too. See of locations that use timing treatment simultaneously too fast, too slow, while they're exploiting where and how they have people that are forced before their presence, including and treating simultaneously, just, they're going to time where you're going to be to make it look like a picture. Yeah, communications you forgot. No, that's what they do. They really do stuff like that. They have the corners of streets and buildings associated with names involved with this. Former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. Former standing chairperson on Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act. People associated with James Comey, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed as one of the names involved in the British Superior Court and Hartford courts. And or a guy that looks just like James Comey, rather, and his language, though, regarding right to lie. But also has the names involved with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants, and then the lawyer are involved with Hartford courts, and like an Emily or Amy, and an Eric Burgess, leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context and since. Certain type of victim slash hyper victim that was forced, tricked, hurt, persuaded to roles, stacking fake things in databases, as collusions, as roles also on off campuses of various ages and natures through time. A whole bunch of people with the intelligence community are connected to a place on Park Street called Venus Pizza that is involved with people on the child offender registry. They have roles with Weathersfield Police, a Weathersfield Police Chief Cintron. Even they have women interbranch and their family members involved with it. They involve their kids, pretending passions and emotions. Where there are exceptions where it's natural, and I would excuse them. That is juxtaposed, though, is not sure if it's excusable, because, in other words, until it's on paper, because of the roles with predicate acts, with names that used my name with them when they were in high school, and used their name with me when they had class placements in relevant ways, and uses of them at other locations that had been brought into the confessions of complete strangers tied to the people that I only know, made exceptions, were influenced to make exceptions to pretend to know me, that there were criminally foreign influence uses of those exceptions. Because that's one of the things increasingly tied to all kinds of natures of problems, are how other people are making fake exceptions for all the lies and lie progressions and fake natures of integrity, inclusion simultaneously with non-integrity, and uses of the array. All styles changing the words of others if they use the short words properly. So the course of black people's white divides abridged, native, hyper-native education lost, forced, you know, measured and maintained. The causes of it blamed the other things, others, or ourselves, rather than the breaching method and or the hyper-archetypal criminal enterprise, if you will. This having conceived modern countries consciously, while they did not realize this themselves while they were being conceived. They are being conceived, knowing to an extent, though, criminally foreign influence. Tactical Terrier as individuals grouped and together names. Tactical Terrier from how we are individual groups and humanity is supposed to be names and uses of them, words like humanity and emotions and passions, for example, by this. Much different if you're trying to make a logical argument and you're going to make it as passionate as you can. It's much different if you fight against all the reasons discernible that the course of black pupils, whites of eyes being and having been abridged as that hypernative course, no matter who you are. And that's relevant because then further, the Native American course /S is sickly abridged. It's not just that they employed Native Americans against Native Americans. It's not just that they employed colonists, everyone against everyone. See, the Native American resistance enabled the phenomenon where our founders had the means to see what was coming in the phases of the breaching method, slavery of everyone, and how they could counter-extort people. And then with that counter-extortion, leverage it as means to start as a country still extorted as a country too, still enslaved as a country too, still forced, tricked, hurt, persuaded to pretend their words were changed. The significance of it was significance of where and how we are individuals grouped together now, tactical terror from how we can't help but be for the hyperpossession that communicates other, then can be afforded increasingly to be discerned. I'm not just saying just economically. Wealth has not afforded the honesty and the sanity to recognize the significance of where and how simultaneously the suburbs are tactically denatured since before our founders were born, with slavery entrenched, that torturous method, sickly distinctly North and South colonies, associated with the suburbs design, associated tactically denatured, cause to make positive value nature progressions, acts and natures, simultaneously the value roles with criminal and citizen natures of positive treatments, means to cause that, natures of it, and where and how we are syntactically manifest is relevant. Names uses is relevant. So same people who pretend to be against bullying and everything like that, it's about hearsay. People involved with hearsay racketeering where they're pretending passions and emotions regarding instances, real and made up, at the same time increasingly having been self-valued, with well more instances than there are streets in our cities, let alone. So we have to understand we have to understand that Native Americans need the whole species. They need a language, a syntax to describe how they need everyone, the whole species, by its might, as much as we can, in contemplation, to fix that tactically denatured identity of relationship to itself, the ground, its waters, its parts individually grouped and together have. And as that better than perfect course and demonstration to us of why we have black people's white divides and exceptions and exception nature to different color eyes. It is through 1/3/5 distinct identities of sequence/simultaneous nature. Per one way of discerning where and how it is the order of the finite. The order of the value of truth before the order of the finite. The order of the finite. The order that is active. The order of progressive value, where it is values and value that is yet to come, but that is here now and still in our control. In the order of that which is never going to mix, and that which is too great to mix with these other parts of itself, while as ourselves. It won't mix but one way. And that is a way that will only force more positive value nature progressions acts and means and natures out of nowhere, including especially differentially where we are quality as fact sheet nature. This is where the greatest evolution's means and gifts come from. So in other words, the reason pantheism is an ism, if we're not supposed to use isms for the science, as it is, in other words, is because it requires part of it's to know, to come closer and closer, and to be better than exactly right about what the proper answer is, slash S, and usually grouped it together. Regarding any question, especially regarding what's going to cause better, positive value nature progressions action nature, what's going to cause negative value nature progressions action nature. Propagated were our roles with off campuses, off all locations, a singular collusion that people A through Z were sustained with. Consciously, that there were people A through Z. Consciously knowing that it was going to have to hide it because nature's going to continue to demonstrate this now. Everywhere other than it is demonstrated. In other words. So we have to have a place where we have to have on the social networks and social media, especially the news media where they are on this. They have roles with criminally foreign influence readings and statutes that say they have immunity from prosecution, but they left and leave out exceptions in exception nature. They use that as roles with predicate acts in cases. And our founders left us to demonstrate this. Whole predicate acts methods involved with identity of the ground, uses of all identity of the ground locations, including interbranch locations. And so this is recorded. And so that one of the things they do criminally is pretending not to realize or to be able to fathom it too, and preventing anything and won't get anything from being put on paper on time, timely, and properly. So these are people in background who've been pretending passions and emotions by acting narratives, including why and how they had lawyers, including the people who had to get them in defense of themselves, regardless if that narrative was made up or not, because to an extent it was made up. And these are people on off the World Trade Center, on off the Webb House, and on off the witch trials place, involved with these principal things that George Washington had to counter-extort the people with slavery, people with criminally foreign influence database, identity theft, fraud, slander, method rule, pretending others simultaneously, setting up fake exceptions to pretend at other locations where time is being and haven't been used, and has been used simultaneously too fast, too slow to get over on the proper answer. That is true always, not denying the slightest exception, not valuing them denying. There's worse than war crimes racketeering method on and off the public and private school campuses, medical school campuses, and fire campuses that is recorded connected. And then it effectively uses the intercities to keep people syntactically, not responding properly, where and how this identity theft fraud method is so overtly against each. There are answers to why and to how it has stayed so overtly against each, even though we don't want it. So all we have to do is believe. And so, in other words, we can make it's not a game at all. Who can fight syntactically to come up with the best idea to stack ideas and means, to afford the means to begin the process to heal nature's identity of relationship to itself and the value of that, not to paint another landscape theater as all identity ground locations, even the most beautiful as stay. Many pray, vaccines, like you things belong. Well, campus, Marcy's calls now, you know. So, which branch of government first? We'll put down some money, put trial tribes. That person who is going to code it, just put trial tribe. And we have different ways for people to sign up. We have to understand and begin with the conversation and stay with the conversation about where and how databases were involved. Data reception, identity reception, facts reception, truth, lies. Kennedy said there is a breaching method against this country. There was proofs that he was going to say, and there are still collusions pretending that the people who try to tell him this told conspiracy theories, where how they've been fabricating things. They have readings of statutes that allowed interbranch locations to be used to fabricate audio and video into databases as collusions that are not allowed though. However, switching names is manifest tied to this. They are hiding behind how they have a whole bunch of countries here and there shared. Not one has carried vaccines. I teach you things below. They force us to use each other's names. And when there are exceptions, they use that to hide that too. So we have to address how they use time simultaneously, too fast, too slow, while they use all these crime methods of switching names, forging names, rolls with confessions too. Confessions are used a whole bunch of different ways by the breaching method. But everything it does, it also does it to keep roles self-cultivating, syntactically manifest phenomena, perception manifest phenomena, locations manifest phenomena, relative to its system and method that no one discerns, not one of you, even the ones who want to discern the most. Thank you. So this is a huge thing. All this is just from 3 days with some mental health people involved with child offenders and crimes with their patients and criminals and with the security and nurses and doctors associated with that place and with the places next to it through time. These are people involved with overt criminal enterprise and acting coaches and professors and their conversations with their students and with others and with judges and prosecutors and their family members, uses of the campuses, intercities through time. Central Connecticut State University, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, since I was a kid, was used involved with people from other cities and associated with Lena's Pizza, involved with abuses of kids, identity, natures of identity theft, fraud, slanders, behavior racketeering, all kinds of medical racketeering names involved criminally with their little tricks. Pump gangs with investigators used criminally foreign influence, used remotely as natures pretending to be against things like prejudice and racism, relevant to how they keep psycho predators and counters to them as in collusions with each other, with the on and off campuses parts relevant. Here. And your fear and your speaking, pretending about to build you're brave. Get a paper, get a name who disbelieves. Pick a fake name and say it. Pretend you want privacy. Well, tell which thing I said is fake. Get them on paper, your honors. Get them, you heard me, get them on. Not you, Your Honor. I'm telling them in the back. Get on the paper. You guys started, the ones who put this with the fake papers you guys have involved. In other words, can't respond to those exceptions. They're set up, there's no writing on them too. And they were coupled with confessions of all natures and with uses, with and as uses of everyone forced to speak through others and exclusion simultaneously as needs and natures that simultaneously prevent individuals when they're alone from countering them, also attaching us to fake words, fake natures of ties to other people. These are people in the furtherance of uses of this. Not not one location has used time properly. You guys are wastes of time. What do you do professionally? Oh, we can do a job. Get down, everyone. Go and waste more time. Make sure I get a response fast. Start class, vaccines. Make sure.